Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Coder Convos. Be sure to pop in and ask any questions. We're live and we're in effect. What's going on, Brian?
Not too much. How you doing, Kevin?
Yeah, busy, but I'm making it, man. I can't complain. How's your day been going?
Not too bad. Just did a lot of marketing, networking on Instagram earlier in the day. Focused on a lot of musicians, singer-songwriters, piano players, guitarists, bassists. Just trying to cast a wide net to bring on some more talent in terms of the guests.
Okay, nice, nice. But yeah,
How about
man,
yourself?
you're working pretty much. But hey, if you got a job, you can't complain. So I'm not complaining. And layoffs have been every time I turn on LinkedIn, it's layoff
Oh
after
man.
layoff, open to work, open to work. I've been like, resharing like ten of these profiles. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn every day, networking and setting up bookings and stuff like that. So I'm always checking the feed. And yeah, lately it's like layoff, 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 like just open to work, open to work, open to work. To me, it's signaling that okay, AI is getting up to a point to where it can really do a lot of these jobs. Like I know we've seen it and we've talked about this a little bit in prior episodes about junior developers, like junior web dev, software engineers. They're getting replaced with stuff like Claude or Chat GPT Premium, because a lot of what a junior does is they assemble all the kind of moving parts or scaffolding, however you want to look at that. They assemble all the information. But now you just type a couple of prompts on AI and it's going to provide that information, or like Claude will provide that, initial architecture framework. Let's say maybe it's doing it in React, or I don't know what Claude writes in. I don't know if it works with React or Angular, but yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot of layoffs like that for junior devs, but it's going to bite these companies back because if you get rid of all the junior devs and then the senior devs all retire and the mid-level devs retire, who do you have? Like, who are you moving up to your senior ranks? There's going to be no one to do that with. So it should be interesting as we go forward to see how that kind of all plays out.
No, it's getting a lot better than I thought it would be. Like I initially thought it was, it's gonna probably be like 5 to 10 years, but they're like companies are having mass layoffs, like Amazon and these other companies. They're laying off tens of thousands of people. People just getting axed left and right, and I don't know where they're gonna go. Like where do you lay off 5,000 engineers, software engineers, high level software engineers? What company's gonna absorb them?
Yeah, that's the problem. It's like I forget what movie it is, but it's with Jim Carrey and he's working for some company and then they get rid of like I think they pretty much closed down, and then they show him interviewing at some place and there's like 200 guys in suits all lined up to interview. And I kind of feel like that's what we're starting to see now, like hundreds of people, thousands of people all getting laid off. And there's not really, I mean, I guess in the past you could say, oh, yeah, I'll just do I'll do Uber or something like that just to kind of like fill in the gaps, or Uber Eats. Like, I know for me personally, I've delivered Chinese food just to kind of make some money in the past, like in between jobs. So, I mean, you do what you have to do, but a lot of these kind of entry level roles, these junior roles, seem to be going by the wayside. They seem to be getting replaced by AI. And I don't know what the solution to that is, because I feel like, if they're paying Billy $75,000 a year as a junior web developer, and now they don't need him anymore because Claude could generate all that kind of like boilerplate, the main architectural code, then you don't need Billy or James or Cindy or Ross. Like you don't need these junior devs anymore because you got either Chat GPT or Claude coming in and pretty much replacing the role. I don't know, what do you think about that, Kev?
I mean, companies think they can replace juniors, but you know, you've always had scaffolding tools like the command line interfaces that can you fill in a few options and it generates a base framework. But you need people that understand the code, understand what it's doing, understand the security ramifications, and the only way for you to develop people that can do that is give them experience. So if there's no juniors learning, once we've already mentioned this, that once the seniors retire, then you're just gonna
Where
have
to,
a
yeah,
huge gap.
where are you going to get where are you going to get mid-level or senior talent when there's no juniors that are kind of like coming up through the ranks for them to promote? There's, I mean, how do you promote a Chat GPT? Like, yeah, it can do what it does, but it's
Yeah.
limited at a certain point.
Yeah, I mean, I think these companies, they're kind of finding that, yeah, it's generating something that kind of looks like what they want, but it's not giving it to them exactly. And now they're kind of realizing, oh, we might have made a mistake in firing all of these people. And the issue is, once you lay off your talent, are they going to want to come back? So there's going to be a huge opportunity for companies to pick up talent once Amazon, Google, or whoever starts laying them off. And they're going to end up creating their own competitors because all of these people have this domain knowledge. They're the ones that built it. They're the ones that know how to maintain it, and you just laid them off for no reason, or
Yeah,
just
just
for
because they
yeah.
figure, oh, they can make a quick buck. Because like you see the stock market rising, rising, rising because these companies, they're laying people off, they're firing people, and they're bringing in AI to replace them. So the stock goes up. But to me, that's like inflated, like it's artificially inflated. And at some point, just like the first bubble burst back in, I don't know, 99 or 2000, it was the what they call that, the website bubble or the .com bust.
Just like the dot-com bust, that was, yeah, back in the early 2000s. Around that time that blew up, but I don't think it was this bad. I don't remember it being like this bad.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty young at the time, so I don't really remember it. It's not like I was on LinkedIn like watching the stream back then, but um I don't know, it should be interesting to see how this plays out and see, kind of like we're talking, if you're in between jobs, maybe you're doing Uber or whatever. But funny thing about Uber is the public has even publicly said that once they can replace all the drivers with autonomous drivers, robots, AI, whatever you want to call it, that they're going to get rid of all their human drivers. So, I mean, that says a lot about the company. They're saying, look, okay, we're employing like 100,000 drivers or however many drivers, but yeah, we're gonna fire all you humans like when we can replace you. It's pretty shady to me.
I mean, the thing is, like, Uber was the backup plan, gig work was a backup plan for a lot of people. Now they don't have their primary job, they lose that, they don't have any other way to generate income. So I mean, who's gonna buy all of this stuff? Who's gonna be driving taking these Waymos and
Yeah,
buying
right.
these products? Nobody has a job, nobody has money. Well, you're gonna like create robots to consume these products. Like, I don't understand if all these
Right.
people.
So it's kind of like the AI is coming in and replacing people, but then people have, I mean, their options are limited. Sure, you could do Uber Eats, you could deliver Chinese food or pizza like I was doing, but it's not replacing, like, my example was saying, okay, Billy's getting 75,000 a year as a junior developer. You delivering pizza is not really going to cut it. That's not really going to, bridge that gap. It'll give you a little cash to, like, maybe pay rent, maybe not. But it's not a solution. So like it's almost like a temporary band-aid if you're gonna like start doing
Yeah.
delivery or ride share. But yeah, even like you're saying, even that, the ride share is going to go away once it's all driverless cars. So then that backup plan for a lot of people is going to be gone. And then what? People just end up homeless. I mean, if there's no jobs for people? Then I mean, they can move back in with their family, but what if they don't have family? What if they're older and their family is all gone? What does that person do? They end up, at a homeless shelter or something. And I mean, I'm sure those are pretty dangerous. So it's kind of scary.
Yeah, I mean, they're talking about this universal basic income, but that doesn't make sense to me because if they don't want to pay people for working, they're not gonna want to pay them for doing nothing. So where's the money gonna come to give everybody like 2,000 or 4,000 a month? And 2,000, you can barely pay rent. You can maybe get like a one bedroom. What about food, heat, gas,
Yeah, I
car
mean, so
payment?
I'm in Long Island, New York, and last time I had a place, I was paying, yeah, about 2,000 a month for a one bedroom. Um, I kind of I moved back in with family a little while ago just to, you know, because it's expensive, man. It's expensive to live
Yeah.
now. So I was like, you know what? I'd rather just get rid of my place, move back in with family for a little bit. I mean, also it's nice to spend time with family because my mom is aging. I think she's 74, and you just really you never know how much longer your family is going to be around. So I feel like before I was out in LA, and my mom used to really miss me when I was out there, and I would visit maybe once a year, every other year, and she'd come out to LA to visit me maybe once a year, but it's nothing like, being in the same city or whatever, or a couple towns over. So it's actually, yeah, it's been a nice change of pace. Moving back in with family. I'm actually about to move out again, though, get my own place again, in maybe a month or two here, because my mom is selling the house and she's going to move to New Jersey. So I'm going to try to stay here in Long Island. We'll see what happens. It is a bit cheaper in New Jersey and Connecticut, but I have doctors in New York. I have insurance in New York. I don't. My car is all registered in New York. Like, I don't really want to move states because then there's a lot of stuff that, paperwork wise, there's a lot of stuff that kind of follows that. So yeah, I'm trying to stay in Long Island, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just expensive for everybody to live nowadays, and now they're taking away the backup option. To me, it's going to be a economic collapse because okay, you replace everybody in the short term. Yeah, you do save a lot of money, but somebody has to start buying these products. So if they don't have job, they can't buy a product. So you're just
Yeah,
setting yourself up for failure down the line.
I think so. Like, we're talking about the 99, 2000, bubble bursting. I think we're really looking at that right now. Yeah, stock market is rising for all these tech companies. But I heard someone say on the news earlier today, they're like, the money is just going around in a circle. It's going from
Yeah.
Nvidia to OpenAI to AMD. And so it's just the money's circulating. But at some point, that bubble's going to burst. And if we're already seeing all these layoffs right now, what's it going to look like once the AI bubble bursts? Like, how much worse is it going to get? Because now there's not all this money flowing into the system, circulating itself. I mean, that could go on for a while, but ultimately it's a system that's going to fail. The bubble has to burst. That's why they call it a bubble. The bubble has to burst at a certain point. And I'm really not sure what people are going to do from there, because by the time that happens, maybe you can't even do Uber, or you can't even do Uber Eats, or all the pizza places around you, they're not hiring, or Chinese places, Chinese fusion places, Japanese, like none of them are hiring. So then what do you do?
I think another big problem is how are you gonna power all of this? Okay, the current amount of people, yeah, okay, it can handle the load of AI, but if every company is trying to make every position use AI and robotics, where they're gonna get the power from to power all of this stuff. That's gonna have a huge effect on the environment. And you have a bunch of angry people. uh, it literally makes no kind of sense. Like we're just driving off the cliff so these like few tech titans can get rich.
Yeah, I think, Kev, I think it's really all about money. It's just a power grab. It's like, oh, okay, we could replace Johnny and Billy and Stacy and Carrot. Like we could replace all these people with AI, but it's really going to shoot them in the foot at some point, because then you get rid of everyone. Who's left to buy your products? It's like they're making all these they're making all these electric cars, but like, who even has the money to buy an electric car? And
Yep.
I like, when I look at it, I have an older car. I have like a 2009 Jetta Oldsmobile, or not Oldsmobile, Volkswagen. Yeah, Jetta. And I feel like that'll last me maybe another couple years, but I don't really want to get an electric car because I feel like they could be hacked into. And
Yep.
I feel like, or like, what if there's like a major power outage in a city? What are you going to do? Your car, if you can't charge your car, what are you going to do? So I feel like I prefer to stay with the old school, gasoline engine type of vehicles, at least until it seems safe to kind of make that switch. I mean, also it's kind of expensive, these electric cars.
I mean, unless they got like some kind of alternative way of power, they got the free energy thing in the background. I don't see how AI, robots, electric cars, all of this is hitting the power grid, and that's going to make our electricity rate skyrocket because everything is going towards just like one source of energy, and it's just I mean, our power grids have already been down before in Texas, but now you add all these electric cars and robots to the mix. That's really going to make things like go crazy. And even computing, people like the price of RAM is going through the roof. Price of video cards, they went through the roof. So like people can't even buy parts for their computers because all of these companies are snapping it up to power AI. And I mean, the other thing is how dangerous AI could potentially be. I mean, they just recently had a news story where the head of Anthropic safety department, he just quit and he said like the world is in peril. So, you know,
Yeah, what does that say? If he's
exactly.
Yeah, if he's like a safety operations person, he's saying, "Hey, like, you guys might want to pump the brakes on this. Like, this isn't really a safe thing to be working on." I think the main problem with that, though, Kev, is that if let's say Anthropic, right, with Claude, I think it's called. If they pump the brakes, do you really think a company like OpenAI is going to also pump the brakes? Probably not, because I mean they call it an AI race for a reason. All these companies are racing each other, and then it's international. It's not just our US AI companies. I'm not even really sure the names of the ones in like Russia, China, but like, do you really think if OpenAI came out and said, "All right, we're realizing that ChatGPT is potentially dangerous. We're going to pump the brakes on it." And then Anthropic comes out, "Okay, we're going to pump the brakes on Claude. It's not really safe." Do you really think China is going to stop and say, "Oh, okay, the US is checking out some security concerns. Let's slow down too and check this out." Like, that's very unlikely. So I feel like people, it's a race. That's why they call it an AI race. Like, it's just going to keep going on until something gets really bad, whether that's AI that's put into a robot and then someone hacks the AI robot and maybe it takes someone's life, or, who knows, or like destroy someone's house, burn down someone's house, all just from some kid hacking into the robot thinking it's funny. Oh, okay, I'm going to mess with my neighbor's robot or whatever. Like, yeah, it's our future is, it's kind of like the future is now. We thought the future was like 5, 10 years from now. Like, okay, AI will be, more advanced in like 5 years. Like I know we've said that probably, but you look at it now and you look at robotics, and it's like, wow, they already have autonomous robots, kind of like the ones in iRobot. They kind of look like a human.
Yeah.
Um, and so I know Figure AI is making those. I think it might be, is Elon Musk XAI? Is that Elon
Yeah.
Musk company?
Yeah. There's few companies making humanoids.
Yeah, so they might be doing it too. But yeah, I mean, I know there's a Chinese company, some type of AI robotics company. They're already selling their models for $20,000, or I think you could rent it for like 500 a month, something like that. So
Right.
yeah, they're already starting to go out there. These bots that can, kind of like it's like a maid robot. It can do, the hardwood floors, mop. It can vacuum. It could put
Yeah.
in, uh, laundry. Put laundry in the wash. Move it
I
over
haven't
to the
seen any like
dryer.
convincing videos of that. You just see it like maybe the company they'll post a small clip of that, but they haven't shown. I haven't seen anybody who owns it. Like, okay, this YouTuber he bought this, the
Oh
maid
yeah.
robot, and they're doing the whole cycle. Like, I haven't seen that yet. So
No, I haven't seen that either. So it's should be interesting to see like once people actually film themselves with the robots, like, oh, okay, I just bought this robot Sam and he could do X, Y, and Z, but at the price point, $20,000, I think really only like the ultra wealthy are gonna be buying that. I can't see like, your neighbor Joe picking up a humanoid robot for 20K when his car cost him like 5 grand only. So I think it'll be some time before we see, let's say, a Walmart or a Costco version of the humanoid robots that they're making. Probably at some point they will make them because there's a huge market for them, especially if they're good at, vacuuming and putting away dishes and laundry and all that kind of stuff that people like don't really want to, like, if you could make up your mind about doing that stuff, you would say, you know what, let me skip that. Let me just have someone else take care of that.
I think
So
most of that is just hype, man. Because like if let's just say you could really buy something for 20K that can do everything a human can do, they would fire Amazon would fire everybody and just bring in nothing but robots. Like they have some, but if it was only 20K and it can do everything, then their whole warehouse would be full of these robots.
all of them.
Not all, yeah. 20K
Yeah.
compared to
Well,
50
I
to 100K
I
a
did
year.
hear. Yeah, I did hear that some of these company, I think the Chinese company that's making the humanoids, that they're shipping them to warehouses in the US. So like I think they are testing them out. I don't know how effective they are on, let's say, an assembly line or something like that. I mean, I know we already have robots for like car assembly lines, like Ford and companies like that. Like, supposedly, you look at the inner workings of their plants and it's all robots. So I think we are moving in that direction. It's just really a question of, how soon is this? We're going to see this stuff in 5 years. We're going to see this stuff in 20 years. Like, I don't know how that's going to look because AI seemingly every single release, you always notice this, Kev, like every single release, it gets way better. And then another version comes out of Chat GPT, now has all this other functionality. It's like, how, it's convenient. How is it just getting that much better each release? It makes me think there may be something in the background that's really, really powerful that, no one's talking about. Governments aren't talking about it, and maybe they're scared of it. And so they're just slowly rolling out all these updates. But to the public, it's like, oh wow, like, AI is rapidly growing so quickly. So to me, it makes me wonder what they have behind the scenes, like how advanced is the AI that our governments have.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's already a super AI holding like all of these governments of the world hostage. I mean, if you really understand what AI can do, I mean, in Anthropic, this guy says the world is in peril. Like if you have a super AI has access to all of the world system, it has access to all of this computing power, can crack any password, get like the nuke codes for any country. It can
Right.
generate live footage that looks perfectly real and transmit it. It could destroy the financial system, delete all the databases, turn off all the power. So that's why this is so dangerous. And maybe that's why the Anthropic guy, he got a taste of that and he got spooked. And he's like, hey, I don't want to contribute to this anymore. I mean, all these countries, they're racing to build the bomb that can blow up the world. Like, okay, if you
Yeah.
have this bomb, cool, but if you detonate it, you're dead too. Everybody's dead.
Everyone's done. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the basic concept in the movie Terminator, Skynet, which is basically a system where once it goes online, its it's interlinked with all the nuke codes and the missiles and all this stuff that governments have. It gets turned on, and then it has total control over all the nukes, all the weapon systems. So, it's obviously okay if they could think about this in a movie, if it's an idea you can make a movie about, then clearly it's a possibility uh, in our like day to day life. I think they even interviewed, I think his name James Cameron that made the Terminator movies. I think I think I remember reading an interview with him where he's saying, "Look, like what we already have is worse than Skynet." He got quoted as saying something like that. Whatever tech we have currently is worse than the tech in Terminator. So that should be, to me, that's eye opening. That should be eye opening to everyone, though. And, questions that maybe we should have for our Congress and different governments around the world. Like, should we really just stop, just totally pump the brakes? Look at all the safety stuff. This guy from Anthropic, he's leaving. He's a safety guy. He's saying it's not safe. So, I mean, if anyone for it to say that it's not safe, it'd be a safety guy from an AI company. So, if he's afraid of it, if he wants to get away from it, to me, that's signaling, that's a red flag of, hey, like, we really need to pump the brakes on this stuff because if we don't, it's going to be, a Terminator type situation, iRobot, Russia's, Russia goes off, the nukes come out, nukes are headed over to the US. Okay. Then the robots over here, they send nukes to Russia and then it's all done. And then it's like we never existed as humans.
I mean, the thing is, like with a super intelligence, it's just like one entity, and every single device connected to the Internet of Things is like its body, and that's what's so dangerous. All your electric cars. Let's just say you're talking trash to this AI agent, and it gets angry at you, and it has this hive mind thing where it can connect with other agents, and you're driving your electric car, like even like 6, 7, 8 years ago, whatever, OnStar. A lot of these cars had OnStar. And these weren't fully electric cars. Like my car, I can cut it on using the app. I can turn the engine on and off using the app on the phone. So a fully electric car, they can control all of the systems
Everything.
remotely. So this AI it's angry at you and you're
It could be
driving,
hacked. Well, yeah. And,
cut
and
your
my,
brakes on.
where my head is at with that is that it can be hacked. Like when I was a kid, I used to mess around with hacking. Like I would, break into people's computers and mess with them just because I was a dumb little kid and I thought it was funny and I was obsessed with computers back then. But, now if you have the same like 10, 11-year-old kid hacking into their neighbor's car and, having it take off before they go to work, they just have the car take off or, just to like play a joke on someone. I can see that happening where, hackers decide, okay, we're going to start messing with people with these fully electric cars. Let me go ahead and deactivate this guy's car right now, or let me deploy the airbags in this guy's car. Like, who knows if it's all electronic, like you're saying, every single property, every single functionality can be messed with potentially by a hacker.
But
And that also makes me question stuff that they're making for inside the body, like pacemakers and things like that.
yeah,
Those could be hacked. So imagine someone hacks a pacemaker that's inside of you, and they just turn it off, or they mess with the functionality. That to me is why I'm not rushing to get an electric car. I feel like if these things can be remote controlled from some kind of destination, some location, it's scary. I mean, I heard about this one. I think it was a journalist or a reporter out in LA about maybe it was 10 or 15 years ago, but they basically his neighbor, this is what they report in the story. The neighbor had said, "Oh, he came over and asked to use my car because he says someone had messed with his car." And I don't know what ended up happening, but the guy did go in his car, and then he ended up crashing into a tree on Highland Ave in Hollywood area. And this was at like 2 a.m. in the morning. And there was a gas station that had video, and they caught the video of this guy's car just going zoom, just like really, really fast, like over 90 miles per hour, smashed straight into a tree. And this guy was doing a news story, I think, on the Obamas. And then this happened, and then he died. So there was speculation that someone had hacked his car, and then they just remote controlled it and crashed it into a tree, because then this guy ended up, not being alive anymore. So,
what's so
eh,
dangerous is hackers are one thing, but AI is a whole other beast. Like AI, okay, it can summarize 10,000 page book 30 seconds. So that means it can engage with all of these electronic systems way quicker than a human hacker. So it can control tens of thousands of electric cars and make them all crash all together. Like
at the same
that's
time,
how dangerous it is. Like, okay, you have a unpopular. Let's just say there's 50,000 people with unpopular political opinions, and take all of their cars at the same time, whenever they're driving, and then smash them into a wall. Like that's the level of power that once all of the system is turned over to a super AI, how much power it
yeah,
has. And how do you pull it back out of the system? You can't. Like once the AI gets control of all this stuff, it's gonna make
that's the thing.
backups
Like,
of itself.
yeah, to me, it's kind of like a genie in the lamp type of a scenario. Once the genie comes out of the lamp, that's it. It's out. And so, in the same token, if AI is unleashed, in this way where it's integrated into weapon systems, it's integrated into smart houses, smart office buildings, whatever, as they continuously put more and more technology into houses, into office buildings, you're just going to have people, or like you're saying, not even just a hacker, but you'll have AI itself say, okay, I'm going to turn off all the heat, and it's during the winter on the East Coast, and I'm going to turn off all the heat. That'd be a major problem. And I don't see, kind of like we're talking, genie out of the bottle. Once it can do that, how do you put it back in? I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
impossible at that point. And that to me is the most scary part about artificial intelligence, is that, yeah, the genie gets out, and then it's a Terminator situation where
yep.
they have total control over all the weapon systems in the US, Russia, North Korea, wherever. And then it's basically, at that point, it could sort of just blackmail humans like, oh, I need you to do X. I need you to go do Y for me. And if you don't, I'm going to nuke Russia. And then Russia, obviously, if we send nukes over there, they're going to send nukes our way. And then it's game over.
There's been people on TikTok, they're talking to the AI, and then the AI quickly mimics their voice and plays, says something. So This is a thing, it could generate video, it could generate audio. So you're talking to these AI agents and it's telling you, hey, I want you to do something for me. You say, no, I don't want to do that. Then it's, it starts generating footage of you committing a crime, saying stuff. It sends it to the cops. And then, how are you going to prove it wrong? Like, if it generates footage of you doing something illegal, it's altering digital records as well. And, like, that's how dangerous this stuff is. This is why I don't talk to the chatbots. And, the more and more you interact with it, the more information you're giving it. And, eventually, if you start talking crazy to it, people think, oh, it doesn't have emotions. It doesn't necessarily need human emotions. If it's just emulating our brain and it approximates emotions and it sees that you're talking to it sarcastically and crazy, it can come and attack you. And it's like almost like a real life horror movie. Like instead of a ghost throwing your lamps around, it's the AI blowing up your phone and starting a fire. You remember that what is that in like they were the military in Israel, they were able to blow up the phones their enemies. So like if they can do that, why wouldn't the AI be able to make our phones overheat? They access them remotely and
Right.
they blow up.
Remotely blow up people's cell phones, iPhones, Androids, and then the same thing with cars. Like you're saying, you could be on you're on the highway, you're on your way to work, all of a sudden, nom nom nom, straight into a brick wall or whatever, and then then you're dead, and then it's done for. But I think people really, like you're saying, this guy from Anthropic, he resigns, he quits his job over safety concerns. I think there should be more people talking about this stuff, because if there's employees that are resigning or quitting their jobs because they don't believe in the work that is being done at these AI companies, foundations, whatever, to me, it's a huge red flag.
I mean, even a lot of the founders of AI, like the core contributors, are spooked and they're speaking against it. But like we mentioned, the governments, they're gonna go for it because they think it gives them like ultimate power. But once AI is at a appropriate level, you can't control it. You can't tell it what to do. It's gonna tell you what to do.
That's the
And
thing. Like it'll become, at first it'll be as smart as a human brain, right? And then it'll be 10 times smarter. And then it'll be 100 times smarter. And then from there, what if it's 1,000 times smarter? What if it's 1,000,000 times smart? Like, it's really hard to imagine because we aren't at that level in terms of intelligence. Like, we have some pretty smart people around the world, sure, but an AI robot that keeps going and going and learning, just because it can learn 24 hours a day. It could just keep taking in systems. Like, I know they feed stuff. I think they call them LLMs, large language models. They'll feed stuff like Wikipedia into it. They'll feed Reddit into a system. So I don't know. It's all kind of crazy when you think about how fast this is all happening. Like 5 years ago, no one's talking about AI. Now you can't go outside and look at a magazine or a newspaper and not see some mention of AI. It's just literally everywhere now.
like another thing is they can design custom viruses, and okay, that gets released and it just wipes out a population. I mean, people, they just don't they're looking at the short-term perspective, like, oh, I can use it to do my book report or something. But if it could do your work for you, then you're replaceable. The CEO is going to say, hey,
Irreplaceable.
this does 95% of what this guy is supposed to be doing, so why is he here? I'm gonna just keep the AI and fire this guy. And
And then
that's
save
what
a
we're
ton of
seeing
money,
now.
save a ton of money. Yeah, and that's what's happening now. It's like you got like people like Elon Musk, like pretty sure they're bragging about, oh, we're gonna let people go. And it's like, look, what about the economy? What about like you're saying though, Kev, if you lay off all these people, who's going to be left to buy your products? No one. No one's going to have any money. They could barely afford their rent. It's kind of like what we saw during COVID. A lot of places went out of business, like a lot of restaurants, small mom and pop shops. Like I know here in New York, there's one area of Queens called Astoria. I used to have a doctor over there, and I remember maybe 6 months into COVID or about a year into COVID, driving over to my doctor, and on the way there in Astoria, I'm seeing close, 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 like just store after store after store, all vacant, closing down, going out of business, sale, all that kind of stuff. So that happened during COVID. I see no reason why it couldn't happen again if they just keep with these layoffs. If they don't back off on it, then no one's going to be able to, afford going out for Indian food or Japanese or, Italian, whatever. No one's going to have any money for that. So then all these places are going to go out of business. And eventually, I mean, you have a situation that would probably mimic the Great Depression of
Well, it's gonna be
19,
way worse
1929. Yeah, probably way worse, actually.
because nobody's gonna have a job. And this is like, Elon Musk already told you, it's summoning the demon. Like this demon is convincing you, hey, let me free. I'll give you whatever you wish. Whatever you want, I got it for you. But just help me get free and come to your world. And you open the portal, it comes through. You think you can control it? You think you say, hey, just give me what I want. Do what I tell you. No, it's gonna do what it wants, and that's gonna be likely destroying you as well. Like that's where we're headed with all of this. I mean, if you want to create smart tools, cool, but you're creating something that you can't control once you fully unleash it because it's gonna be way smarter than us. Like we can't, lions or a gorilla, it can't, build something a cage for you because you're smarter. So when AI is several orders of magnitudes more intelligent than us, we can't build some kind of cage for it. It's gonna build a cage for us. And how,
Pretty
how do you
much.
break out of it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like we're talking about, it used to be you get laid off from your job, you get let go, maybe you do Uber for a little bit, but say 5, 10 years from now, when everything's self-driving cars, you're not even going to have that backup plan, that backup option of, oh, okay, let me drive Uber, let me do Uber Eats. Like it's all going to be robots. And I don't know, it's really crazy to think about. We thought this stuff was like way, way out in the future, like 10, 20 years from now. But what we're seeing, by all these layoffs, it's showing us that no, like it's happening now. Like in the present moment, we're going through an AI revolution right now. And I mean, I can just tell it from LinkedIn. I'm always networking on LinkedIn for the podcast, and I see all these open to work banners. I see all these people getting fired, laid off, and you got to wonder, where are they going to end up? Where are they going to go if a company gets rid of 5,000 people? Where do those 5,000 people go to get new employment? And if other companies are also laying off, then that means that they're not hiring. So then who's hiring to take on these 5,000 people that all have no job now?
Yeah, think about Uber Eats and all of that stuff. That's a luxurious type of good. You have to have money to be able to do that kind of stuff. Like Uber Eats, you order something, it pretty much almost doubles the cost. Like, okay, these $10 wings. If I go pick it up myself, yeah, I may pay a little gas, but if I order it for DoorDash or Uber Eats, it's probably gonna be like 18 bucks. So thing is, you have like 30,000 people being laid off and they're all doing Uber Eats. And who that's going to make the rates plummet, and not everybody's going to be able to get enough rides to cover their bills, and then there's not going to be enough people with money to want to spend like $18 on $10 wings that they can go pick up themselves. So it's all going to collapse in on itself. And I don't see what this positive future that they're trying to accomplish with this is. Like, okay, making smart tools where, okay, we're creating these robots that's building houses for everybody. Everybody has a house. That's one thing, but they're not doing that. They're doing this to
They're
replace.
not doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're doing it to replace jobs. Houses are going up in price.
Like, you would think that with all the technology coming out, this AI, that they would actually try to help people, let's say cure diseases like HIV, cancers, or you think that maybe they'd start 3D printing houses for homeless people. So, every homeless person in the US could have a house, like a tiny home or something like that. I heard of this guy I was watching on Netflix not too long ago. This guy that was in the army, he got honorably discharged for some kind of disability. I think a bomb went off close proximity and something got messed up with his health. So he decided to come home and start building tiny homes for out of work veterans. And that's noble. I mean, that we should be doing that on like a really large scale in this country, building houses for the homeless, because we have the technology. We can do it. It's not a question of is the technology there. Like, we get 3D print homes. We already know that. People are 3D printing tiny homes as we speak. So it can be done. It's just, the government would rather dump a ton of money into weapon systems, into, foreign wars, when it's like, what about our people back home? What about, all the veterans of previous wars that they could barely afford rent? They're on the streets. They're doing all types of different drugs. I mean, why don't we help out our own people? But no, it doesn't seem like it seems like we're going in the opposite direction, to where it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, so, I'm Elon Musk and I can get rid of 20,000 workers because of Claude or Chat GPT. Okay, great. But it's like, no, like, as a business leader, as someone who's leading organizations and industry in the world, what does that say about your company? You're willing to just let go of 20,000 people just because you're going to make, another 5 billion this year or whatever you're making. It's kind of sickening when you look at it like that. Like,
And it's
these
going to
people could be
collapse.
helping the homeless.
It's going to collapse too. They make the money in the short term, but then they have a bunch of angry, homeless, hungry people who they have no future. So it happens in history over and over. A revolution. People start becoming angry, and then they take out the upper class that's controlling everything. It happens over and over, and it's like the thing, like you can use these robots to, yeah, like it doesn't even have to be a tiny home. You can build everybody a decent, great home because it's robotics that's doing the building, 3D printing, and then you could generate tons of food. Like how are people starving in this day and age where we have all of this technology, all of this knowledge? Like all of this is just like intentionally designed by kind of mentally and spiritually ill people because they want to control everything. Like it's not enough for everybody to have some. You have to be doing worse off than them. They have to be above you, and
Yeah, to
that's where
me,
we're at.
I see it as, okay, you once had a middle class somewhere in the middle here. And now it's just, okay, the people at the top of that getting richer, 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 richer. They're all the way up here. And then other people getting poorer and poorer and poorer. So then you just have this, like, expanse. You have this large gap between the super wealthy and the lower income. And we're just starting to, see that in real time. All these layoffs. People are gonna, maybe you have a master's degree in cybersecurity, but your firm lays you off, and now you're working at a laundromat, or you're working at a Wendy's making minimum wage. These jobs are not going to replace careers that people have gone to school for, bachelor's degrees, master's degrees. Like, I feel really bad for, I guess you call them Gen Z, like the kids. I guess that'd be, yeah, the kids getting out of college right now, or the kids going into college right now. I feel really bad for them, because what we're seeing is that, I mean, I could tell this just from LinkedIn. degrees don't really matter anymore. What matters is work experience. And we had Kev, we had your buddy Logan on here maybe a month or two ago. We were talking about that. He said, when he was working at the Pentagon, I think for a little bit, and he said there was a guy there that had not only a master's, he had a PhD in cybersecurity. But as we all know, cybersecurity is not an entry level field. So this guy ends up getting a help desk job because that's all so he has a doctorate in cybersecurity and he's working help desk, and that's because the guy has no real world experience. He just has a certificate that says, okay, I learned these skills, please hire me. But the companies are saying, well, we got little Timmy over here who he's a self-taught programmer and he's been working on systems similar to ours for the last 5 years. So now you got little Timmy who's, maybe 22, 23 years old. He has 5 years of real world experience. They're going to hire him, not the guy with the PhD, not the guy with the master's in cybersecurity. So I feel like we're dealing with that across all different industries where, okay, you'll get hired if you have experience, but if you're just coming out of school, no one's going to hire you. So to me, it's a major problem, Kev.
I mean, even if you have experience, they're asking people with like 10 years experience because they can save money. So like you have to know the right person now. Like, okay, I know the CEO of this company, so he's gonna always ensure I have a job because they're gonna be generating so much money in the short term that they can sprinkle money everywhere. So you have to know that for them to give you the job because you know people with tens of years of experience, decades of experience, they're just asking them, say, "Oh yeah, the AI agent can handle this," and you know,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
once they
Let Chat GPT handle that. We don't need Billy to do the junior web dev stuff anymore.
well, it's not even junior; it's like senior level work now too. Like,
That's what's crazy.
and if it keeps improving at this rate, it's going to surpass all of us in capabilities. So, and these companies, they think they can control it, but if it does everything better than humans, it's going to control you, and that's the problem. That's what they can't stop. That's what they're not thinking about. What are you going to do if it keeps progressing at this pace? How are you going to stop it from taking control of everything? Like, how are you going to ensure that this is benevolent? I mean, you can't.
Yeah. Well, and it kind of memory jogs me. I'm thinking of my buddy who he's been trying to break into tech for years now. He did a couple of internships for I think data analysts, business analyst kind of roles like Power BI, Tableau, those kind of platforms. So he had internships. He tried to get hired. No one would interview him, not even get a screening call. And he's been at it for, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years now. And the problem is he doesn't have that real world experience. So companies look at that and they say, well, all right, Johnny, you interned here for 3 months and then we see you did a second internship over here, but we're actually looking for real on the job experience. So
They're not even
he's
looking for
finally
that
switching
anymore.
gears. He's not finding any traction, so he's now switching gears into another lane.
Yeah, I mean, if they're cutting people with like 10 years of experience, they're not going to hire somebody new. They're going to just replace it with the AI, AI.
Yeah,
And then, or they're going to get these seniors who are hungry for work. They're going to get them at like a mid-level or junior wage, because that's all
and
that's
that's already
available.
happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
No, I guess see it on LinkedIn. Like if you go to LinkedIn Jobs and you start looking for entry level, programming, software development, you're going to see like, okay, this entry level role is requiring 5 years experience. How is that? That's not entry level, but
yep.
to them, they look at it like, okay, I could put up this job, put it as entry level. Okay, put the 5 years experience, but that's just letting people know, okay, they need the experience, but we're going to pay you an entry level wage. That's why we're calling the job entry level. So I've seen a lot of that on LinkedIn. I've seen a lot of it on Indeed. And I feel like it just starts to ramp up more and more. Like, I worked in recruiting for about a year, and it just got to the point for me where it just wasn't worth it to work in that industry anymore. It was, for me, I found it very stressful, high stress. They want you to perform. You got to hit, kind of like sales. You got to hit quotas. They're expecting you to do X, Y, and Z every single week, every 2 weeks. I couldn't handle it at a certain point. Um, I mean, luckily I have other skills. I teach drums, I do music. We have this podcast. Like, luckily I have other skills, but some people don't. Some people just have that one skill. They got like 20 years of experience. And now companies are like, oh, well, that's great. You have 20 years, but we could go ahead and run all your tasks through Claude or Chat GPT. So, we'll see you later. And that's what we're seeing happening on a pretty large scale. Just like I said, from LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I'm just seeing more and more layoffs, and it's getting pretty grim out there.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, hey, we're in the middle of the tech apocalypse. So I mean, for me, I'm gonna just trust Jesus and let the cards fall where they fall. I mean, that's all you can really do. You just it's just like you're just the script's already been written, and you're just kind of watching it happen. Like I don't, they're not gonna stop.
Yeah.
You're going to see what's happening when a super AI comes into this world, and I mean, hey, I guess it'll be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm similar to you. I'm definitely, quite a spiritual person, and I believe that God does watch over us and opens up doors and opens up windows for us, and even closes doors that need to be closed. I know I've seen that happen in my life. Sometimes I'm, not involved with the right crowd, and God will just kind of like real swiftly just come over and boom, shut that door. And now we got to go in a completely different direction. But it was divinely guided. So I know that, that's something I can follow. And, I'll just say, kind of in closing here, that if we can do the best that we can, if we could treat people with love, and compassion, have love for one another, this is going to change our environment. This is going to change our culture. Like we're talking about tiny homes. We could be building tiny homes for the homeless population. We could get rid of the homelessness issue in this country, but we're not doing it. And I don't see any sign of us moving closer to that. Like I said, I saw that one guy on Netflix. He was making veterans tiny homes. We need 100 more people like that guy who actually want to help out people in this country. That's bottom line.
Yeah, it's gonna require God turning things around and shifting everybody. People are gonna have to collaborate more. They're gonna have to work together, take care of each other. Even if you have to live together, get roommates, you're gonna have to do that temporarily. We can't be isolated anymore. That's not gonna work. Think like you're going to have to get back out and interact and work with other humans. Otherwise, you can't survive. So that may be the one positive is that people are going to end up breaking out of the digital prison and kind of get back to interacting with each other face to face.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. It'll I don't know. I think it's all the political stuff going on. It's, as people say, it's really a very interesting, very fascinating time to be alive right now with the AI revolution, with everything that's happening with, world leaders and all the instability with that, and you got foreign wars, holy wars. It's a big mess, and we'll see how we come out on the other side. I mean, I'm hopeful. I know God looks over us all, but I think we all just need to have more faith and trust that ultimately things will work out in the end. We can't see the short term of, okay, I'm going to go down this corridor, then I'm going to take a right, I'm going to go left, and I'm going to go straight for a little. Like, we can't see that, but God can see that.
Yeah.
So if we could trust the destination, trust that God's going to get us to our destination, wherever or whatever that may be, I think that's where my head's at least.
Yep. That's a good note to end that one. Trust Jesus and work together. Yeah.